Now, when it comes to business recruitment and expansion, Governor Bryant obviously has outlined 2 target industries that he has tasked MDA with focusing on, in addition to our other target market sectors. As you know, Mississippi has long been an important player in the energy industry. But consider the cutting-edge extraction technologies utilized in our state, our extensive natural gas pipeline infrastructure, or the high-tech biofuel or biochemical production operations ramping up in the state. You'll know we have an awful lot of potential. When you do, you certainly cannot help but be reminded that we're not only a player in the field, but really, at the end of the day, we're going to be the key player in that field. We're very well positioned for significant future growth in that sector, especially in light of those recent technological innovations and the increasing importance of affordable and available energy to our economic well-being. We have a diverse and abundant natural energy resources throughout our state, from lignite to biomass feedstock, oil and gas reserves. When you have those plentiful resources like this, you can't just sit on them. And that's why we're thoughtfully moving forward with offshore oil and gas exploration and production on the coast. It's the same reason that we're working with partners in Southwest Mississippi to prepare for economic opportunities associated with the Tuscaloosa Marine Shale. If the Tuscaloosa Marine Shale holds the reserves many people think that it might, the economic impact on Mississippi will certainly be tremendous. Geologists have known about the potential oil and gas resources in the Tuscaloosa Marine Shale for decades, but now we have the technology in place to enable producers to really produce these resources and this potential. Lignite is another great example. Lignite used to be considered poor quality coal, and it didn't have much value. But today, thanks to Mississippi Power's one-of-a-kind technology, the company is constructing its clean coal technology plant in Kemper County, near those abundant lignite resources. And people didn't used to consider trees as feedstock for biofuel. But today, Keyor is completing construction on its first biofuel production facility in the state, the first of 5. Keyor will soon be using our ample woody biomass resources to produce its fuel blend stocks, which will then be mixed with conventional fossil fuel blend stocks and used in those vehicles that we drive on the road today. In short, Mississippi is on the cutting edge of a number of new technologies related to energy production and manufacturing. And we will be looking at all of the opportunities we have in this sector and letting people know that we are open to all comers. Secondly, the healthcare sector is another great area where the governors have directed us to focus our recruitment and expansion efforts. Healthcare certainly is an industry of necessity, but healthcare-related businesses like medical service providers, medical device suppliers, pharmaceutical distributors, and diagnostic imaging businesses create high-paying jobs and generate tremendous economic opportunities for the areas that they call home. I know Madison County has seen significant growth in this sector in the past few years, with St. Dominic's expanding into the area with new clinics and medical offices in Madison and a new River Oaks Hospital now in Canton. As you all know firsthand, facilities such of these have considerable economic impact on their communities. Whether they are medical suppliers, doctors' offices, distributors or manufacturers, physical therapists, biotechnology or diagnostic imaging firms, these businesses create high-paying jobs, B, bring additional R&D expertise to the state and attract talent, C, improve that ever so important healthcare access for residents, D, have tremendous economic impact on their communities, and E, increase their area's reputation as a place where people come for outstanding medical care. Let me digress here for just a second because I have a personal story on this as well. My family moved here coming from Florida just a little over 3 or 4 weeks ago. My daughter got out of the vehicle in Hattiesburg, doubled over in pain. Long story short, we wound up at Batson Children's Hospital in the middle of the night, about 3 or 4 a.m. It's amazing what you can do in a drive from Hattiesburg when those endorphins kick in and that adrenaline gets going when you have a child who is ill. It wound up being nothing more than a really complicated appendectomy. but the quality of care that we enjoy in this state, the quality of care that we enjoy in this area, in my mind, after that experience, unfortunately, and fortunately, I got to witness it firsthand, is second to none. We're fortunate for that. With these considerations in mind, this spring the legislature passed the Healthcare Industry Zone Act, a major component of Governor Bryant's Mississippi Works agenda. The legislation strengthens our healthcare-related industry recruitment and growth efforts and authorizes the establishment of healthcare zones throughout the state where significant acute care facilities exist. Healthcare businesses like laboratory testing facilities, medical supply distributors, and biotechnology research facilities that either make an investment of at least $10 million or create a minimum of 25 full-time permanent jobs within a certified healthcare zone are eligible for certain tax incentives as a result of this program. We have a number of projects MDA is working right now that will likely be able to take advantage of this new program. I look forward to announcing many of those in the near future. Senator Longmans and I have had at least one conversation, probably we'll have more on this particular topic, and how that particular legislation impacts Madison County and how in the future it might impact Madison County as well. So you all continue to look for those opportunities and bring them to our attention, because certainly we want to make sure that Madison County has an opportunity to play a significant role in that healthcare industry act. Another area of focus for MDA and the governor's office in the months ahead, and you'll see this, would be the state's workforce training programs. Governor Bryant is rightly insisting that we continue to look at ways we can build on our existing strengths in this area and further improve our training programs. This is a major component of the governor's Mississippi Works agenda. Here in Madison County, the Wynn Job Center and Holmes Community College provide great services to businesses. But in my travels around the state, I've seen how our workforce system, while great in some areas, is highly variable. This simply is not good enough. It is not acceptable. Workforce development today is not simply about making sure we have the highly skilled workforce that is meeting our company's needs. It is about getting those businesses to locate here in the first place. When I first started in economic development in Hattiesburg almost 20 years ago, one of the first things out of a company's mouth when a prospect, when they arrived, was, what incentives do you have? What are you going to give me to come to your community? I think that businesses have found that yes, is a significant part of their decision-making process, but it certainly is no longer at the top of their list. They saw how short-sighted that was. Now, the first thing out of their mouths is, am I going to have a ready, trained, capable workforce that starts on my business on day one? Because our business is only as good as our people. And we need to make sure that as our competitor states, Georgia has seen significant strides in this recently. Louisiana has seen significant strides in this recently. As they continue to up their game in workforce development, that we're surpassing where they are as well. And trust me, it's not just southeastern states. We're competing on a world stage now, as you all have certainly seen in Madison County. In this day and age, as I said, workforce training has become a requirement. It's become on par with infrastructure offerings and transportation offerings. Right now, we don't have that workforce development system that delivers consistency across the board, and it's putting us at a little bit of a disadvantage. We're working with our community colleges who have been fantastic in this process, including the teams at Holmes Community College right here in Richland, MDES, and other workforce partners in the state to figure out how we can develop a more effective, accountable, and robust workforce development system. Energy resources, healthcare assets, programs that further develop our workforce and ensure that Mississippi residents have the training they need to succeed at work today and in jobs of the future tomorrow. All of these topics share a common thread. They involve identifying our existing assets and looking at ways we can build on and further strengthen them as part of our long-term growth plans. Asset development certainly isn't a foreign concept in Madison County. In fact, I know at least two communities in this county, Flora and Canton, have gone through the asset mapping process with, and here's a familiar name and face to you all, and I'm delighted to work with her again, Joy Foy, and MDA's Asset Development Division. Through the asset mapping process, Joy's team is helping communities identify not just their hard assets, but their creative assets as well. And Joy's group is working with community leaders to suggest the ways that these assets can factor into or even spearhead that area's growth plans. Malcolm White, Executive Director of the Mississippi Arts Commission, has rightly said that Mississippi has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to our cultural and creative offerings. Tourism and creative economy development pose tremendous opportunities for so many of our communities. Our creative and cultural assets hold the keys to much greater prosperity and job growth in the future. And certainly coming from Florida, I understand the importance to tourism in the economy. In fact, I understand tourism as a component, indeed as economic development in and of itself. And I understand the significant return on investment that every dollar spent in tourism can yield. But when we talk about the creative economy growth in our cultural and creative assets, it's important to remember that the creative economy has implications beyond just tourism. Besides attracting tourism visitors or potential residents to a community and contributing to its quality of life and distinctive character, a community's creative economy has real implications for existing business growth, entrepreneurial activity, community development and downtown revitalization, and even to long-term competitiveness when it comes to that traditional economic development. I know many of you know the benefits and the growth potential inherent in the creative economy. In fact, after MDA and the Mississippi Arts Commission held our Creative Economy Summit last year, Madison County was the first county or community to call MDA and ask for help during the local event focused on identifying and celebrating its creative economy and the creative people and businesses and places that make it up. You were the first ones out of the gate looking at ways you could identify and celebrate and grow this important part of our economy. And you came together to make this happen. This wasn't the effort of one chamber of commerce, one business league, one community. The chambers of Canton, Florida, Madison, and Ridgeland, along with the county chamber, came together with the Madison County Foundation, the business league, and the EDA to make this happen. I've heard that many artists, musicians, authors, and artisans attended the event, and that you paid homage to them and recognized their contributions to this area, to your economy, and to your quality of place. I know Madison has been visionary in many ways, and that this area today is what it is because of the vision that many community leaders have had. And I'm glad that you're celebrating that vision today. I understand that Madison was the first local economic development organization to be formed by state legislation, and that legislation authorized the EDA to own and sell land. I understand that Madison County's Economic Development Authority was the first EDA to put covenants in place, and that other communities have used your legislation and covenants as models. The now famous historic flea market in Canton is a result of visionary local leaders responding to critics who said Canton didn't have anything to market. The Canton community didn't throw up its hands. Community members established the flea market and created something to market. A few decades later, that event, as you heard, attracts thousands of people each year and continues growing strong. I commend you for your focus on identifying and building on your existing strengths, on your vision and hard work and willingness to come together to accomplish such many great things, and on your efforts to recognize and support your existing business from large industrial employers to local artisans. I encourage you all to continue to look at ways you can work together at the local level for the benefit of the entire county and to further benefit from your unique strengths. I also challenge you to continuing your efforts like this to support your business, your existing business, and the community at large.